Yeah, yeah. One of the Beast, my oldest, went in and Pocono got to drive it. That was one of the real exciting.
The
things.
eldest?
Yeah, before he had his
Pocono?
license, he got to do a ride at several hundred miles an hour.
I went. I drove at. I got up to 170 at Talladega.
That's pretty awesome.
It was very nice.
You don't realize when you're going that fast.
Are we on the air right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wearing sunglasses. I can't see anything.
I can't see because of this. How do people do this
I don't know, but it's scary.
in real
looking.
life?
It looks like you're a wizard. Now it looks like you're like a gang wizard. I don't.
Hello and welcome to All the Best Words. My name is now. Let's see.
Oh my goodness. His name's Matt Murphy, and he says all the best words. My name's Cameron Smith, and I write all the best words.
And this is All the Best Words.
I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
For the record, I took it off only because I feel like I looked over at the monitor and I feel like I looked too much like that Ali G,
Ali G, yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen or whatever his name is.
character, yeah.
Yeah. You look like the illegitimate love child of Richard Petty and some floozy that he met off at some racetrack and some.
I was just thinking Richard Petty and Chris Farley.
Okay, well, that works too. It's All the Best Words. Hopefully, you know the drill by now. Many episodes in the bank. This is yet another one. I have no idea what episode number it is. Maybe one of these days we'll put that in the corner somewhere on your screen. One way or the other. Speaking of on your screen, there should be a like or subscribe button. Just give us the old like, subscribe, thumbs up, or whatever it is, and tell a friend or a neighbor about All the Best Words.
Yeah. I mean, we do the best at getting costume changes for you guys. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I've brought today is the cowboy hat.
It's a fine
You guys can see here.
It's a good looking hat.
I believe it's beaver fur and some kind of bird. I don't know which kind. I thought maybe pheasant. Owl is what I was told.
That is not pheasant. I don't think that's pheasant.
It may be owl.
I've killed a pheasant. Have you killed a pheasant?
No, I have not. That's one of the things I haven't killed and eaten.
I'm horrible with a shot. So can I tell the story real quick?
Absolutely.
I'm horrible with a shotgun. I've always been bad at bird hunting, dove, duck, quail, whatever. And I went out to a prospective client at his pheasant farm, and he arranges hunts. And the way that they do it is they load the fields with pheasant. Like they raise the pheasants. Pheasants do not, they are not natural to the state of Tennessee.
No.
And so they raise the pheasants and then they release them, and the pheasants just have natural habits. And the dogs help find the pheasants, and then the hunters. And, there's just some tactics to it. But this guy, it's what he does for a living, and he took us out on a specialty hunt because he wanted us to see how he does his hunts.
Sure.
And so, I didn't know I was going to be hunting that day. He has this beautiful, it's not a Browning. What was it? It wasn't a Browning. It was like better than a Browning. It's like one of this fancy.
Benelli?
I think it was a Benelli shotgun. It was like an over-under. It was so nice. And I'm like, I'm just going to shoot a box and a half of shells and never hit a bird, and it's going to be so embarrassing. And first pheasant, first shot, boom, took him down. Guy was impressed. He's like, that was a great shot. It's going to be a great day. Never hit another bird for the rest of the day. But I shot the first one.
Well, pheasants pop up in the air and kind of pause before they take off. And if you hit them when they pause.
That's right. It's the pop and go. But what I learned that day from my one and only pheasant hunt is how important a good dog is. Because the dogs are trained to find the pheasant. They want to hold the pheasant and not scare the pheasant enough that it runs or it flies, until you're ready for them to come up. And then they flush the bird, right? So, because if you're too far away and the dog's, 30 yards ahead.
With a shotgun, you can't reach it.
Can't reach it. But anyway, so I think that's owl. All that to say. I think you got owl on the head.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Have you ever seen an owl without any feathers?
I have not.
Just look it up.
I've seen a parrot without any feathers, and it looks super weird.
Look up wet owl image. And an owl wet, one, very funny looking. 2, they typically look very, very angry, and it's pretty funny. But anyway, I guess it's time to do some words.
It is.
All right, what do you got?
Tip. So look,
Tip of what?
food tipping. It's gotten out of control. It's 2025. I dropped a column over at the Tennessean explaining the new rules for the New World Order. And here's the deal, Matt. If I come to your counter and I place an order, and then I pick up my food and I sit down and I bust my own table and I get my own drinks, you don't get a tip. That's just thing one.
Mm-hmm.
We vary on the theme, right? If you bust the table, I might give you a 5% tip.
Sure.
That seems fair. If you bring me my food and bust the table, I might get to 10, but 20% is white tablecloth. You sit down, you're engaging, my food's to my table, it's done right. This business of 25 to 30% add-on for fast casual is nuts. And I'm not there to subsidize your employees. If you want to pay them below market wage, that's on you. If your food's not good enough that you can't earn enough money to pay them properly, that's on you. I want to reward excellent service. I want to support people who are hustling and working hard. I don't want to just give you money to a tip pool so you don't have to pay as much to your employees. That's not what I'm there for.
I think you need to come off your wallet, Cameron. I mean, come on, Mr. Tight. What are you doing over there?
No.
You're making a fine living.
I don't mind coming off the wallet, but here's what I'll come off for. Excellent service, hustle. You know, when I see a kid at the register working really hard, particularly if it's a kid I know, you bet I'm going to come off in a big way. But this idea of, well, you hit me at the point of sale for 20% and I don't have any clue what the service is is ridiculous.
Well, and that's in all seriousness what I was going to say. I've begun to kind of create some dividing lines in how I'm going to react to all of this, right? And one of my dividing lines has become, if you're asking me for a tip before I can determine what your tip value should be, then I don't think I should be giving you a tip at all.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, and I understand they say, well, you won't tip on the back end. Well, that's neither here nor there. I mean, once again, if it gets that bad, then pay your employees more if they're not being tipped in the manner which would make them willing to come back to be your employee, and then go up on food prices.
Yes.
I mean, which that's fine. I mean, that, if that's the consequence of our reaction to the way that you're doing things, fine. But this psychological experiment that I'm a bad person if I don't give you at least 10% or 15% or 18% or 20% or whatever the hell it is at the point of sale has got to stop.
The one that enrages me the most, and I don't really get upset about much, but the one where if I don't select a tip at point of sale, I can't proceed to check out and I got a line behind me, that is psychological warfare, folks.
And the no thanks, there's typically a no thanks. But the no thanks is a minuscule, better get your readers out, can't find it anywhere on the screen, have to ask someone, and typically you have to do it very loudly, and then everybody behind you thinks you're an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. Hate it.
Yeah, it's pressure. It is peer pressure tactic. It's, hey, this says, 25%, 20%, 18%, and then somewhere is a custom button, and they're just begging you to hold up the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so that to me is just beyond the pale. But the flip side of that is, okay, for things like if you're out on the town, a minimum threshold for a drink is $1 tip, a minimum, right? Sure. So alcoholic beverage, $1, coffee, $1. Don't give somebody 37 cents. Like, that's not a thing. Like, you need to see this as the threshold, and that's for any drink. If somebody is covering it in smoke and it looks like some witch's brew, they're putting some effort into that's trying to entertain you, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, there's a little bit more there. So tip in a corresponding fashion. Like you said, don't be a cheapskate.
And I'm a good tipper, and it's gotten to the point of ridiculousness where my wife and my family have said things to me because if I'm particularly at a fancy or at a nicer place or just at a sit-down meal, I want – in my head, I want to tip in a fashion that the waiter or waitress thinks, wow, I must have done something right.
Yeah.
That guy was really nice. what did I do to make that happen? And I'm talking that's typically 30%, 35%,
Sure.
something along those lines. But yeah, counter to that is good gracious, they're everywhere. One quick tipping story though, which may or may not parlay into my word. So I got embarrassed earlier this week when I was in a situation where I think I was in. Well, you tell me, is furniture delivery a tipping situation?
Typically, if they're unloading it, getting it into your house, getting it squared away, you're going to tip them.
I thought so too, and completely. I haven't. It's been so long since I've had any furniture delivered at my house, and we had a chair come in because I've got the shoulder surgery coming, and I had to get a power chair, a specific type of chair because I'm going to have to sleep in it,
Right.
and because I have to sleep sitting up. Anyway, they delivered it, they put it together, and I realized, holy crap, the only cash I had was $100 bill, and I'm like, I cannot, I couldn't do it. I didn't do it. I said, I got no cash. Can you guys take Venmo or anything? I'm sorry. I just don't have any. I knew I had 100 upstairs. And they were like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I said, you don't have Venmo or anything? They said no. And I felt so bad.
Yeah, I mean, just on those
I still
things,
probably should have given them.
try to do it. Try to figure it out. I mean, I've told my boys, I've got 5 young boys, and they're on a budget, as you can imagine, being teenagers. And so they're like, well, we've got this much money. I'm like, no, you don't. If you're going out to eat, you better budget 20% for a tip.
Mm-hmm.
You have that amount, you have less 20% roughly, because you've got to figure out, you've got to be able to tip. If they have good service, you can't stiff them on the tip just because you're a teenager.
Right.
You got to do it right. And I think that, and then the last thing that I put in my column over at the Tennessean was lemonade stands. Minimum tip of 100%. Anytime you see a kid out hustling,
absolutely,
doing that kind of thing, selling
any
veggies,
little kid like that,
yeah, reward the hustle. You see hustle in kids, automatically at least 100%. And come on, they're usually charging you like $2, so it's
whatever,
$4. But like, make sure that you support those kids.
Whatever, Gary. Everybody knows it's not fresh. You know that commercial, Will Ferrell? It's pretty funny. So it translates into my word. My word is courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
My word is courtesy. And here's where I would say one of the reasons that I'm very conscientious of how much I tip is that I look at the world around me and I feel like there's less of it probably going on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being hardened and callous to the good people in the world. But I try to make up for the discourtesy that I very well know is going on before me and after me when I tip. And it's part of the reason that I thought of the word courtesy is because, I let it slide with the furniture delivery. And as you could tell, 3 days later, it's still bothering me. It probably shouldn't, but it does. But we seem to be becoming a much less courteous world. And I think it's because we have phones and lines now. That's a large reason behind why this is, because we don't really have any reason in waiting areas or in lines or places where you gather with people that you don't actually know to speak to them. And
Amen.
You don't have anything compelling you to be kind to other people, because when you have to sit in an area with someone and you have to be there for a minute or two, if you engage in conversation, your natural predisposition is to be courteous to that person and to learn a few things about them. And you know what you might learn? And this is where I think we're getting it real wrong in America. And I understand that we have very passionate views, particularly politically, is that it's okay to disagree with people on certain aspects of how they lead their lives and how you lead your life. And you can still be courteous and good to them and nice to them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and this is something that I talk about all the time with my boys, and I'm privileged. My day job, one of the companies that I work with is Thanks, and one of the things that the CEO there told me day one was always say thanks. I was like, well, is that like a corporate slogan? It's like, no, show appreciation all the time. When you see somebody, if they refill your drink, say thanks. If they hold the door, thanks. Start to like that is a exercise in human dignity. Of I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to show that I appreciate your role in my life as I'm hurtling through space on this globe, having people that do nice things or say nice things or make my life better. I want to acknowledge you and support you. And that's I think gratitude can be a great base for courtesy, because when you understand how you appreciate that person, some of the other stuff, the disagreements, things like that, matter less. And you and I, our inboxes are full of haters and people saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And my response to a lot of them is, other than, do you kiss your mom with that mouth? Which it's probably not helpful.
They do.
I try to say, hey, I'm a human too. And like, let's talk about it. Like, let's grab coffee, because I've found that human touch makes all the difference. And after COVID, after all the phone stuff and digital world, it made us weird.
And I do believe that one of the most powerful tools that you can use to learn the character of a person that you're dealing with is, if you have an opportunity, watch them interact with someone that has no power over them, and they have all the power over that person.
Amen.
And if you watch how they interact, if you watch someone, and typically you can do this it's really easy to do in a restaurant setting, right? In a restaurant setting, watch other tables and how the people at those tables interact with the waitstaff, because the waitstaff has zero power over them, and they know that. And they have all the power. If they are rude and nasty to powerless people, they're going to be that type of person typically in every other aspect of their lives. Especially
Amen.
if the person has power over a lot of people, how they treat the quote unquote least person in the room tells me a lot about the type of human being they are.
Yeah, and I learned a lot because I had some great bosses along the way. Right out of law school, Jeff Sessions and his chief counsel, Cindy Hayden, and then Jeff Davis, our friend Gary Palmer. I had people who were so patient with me when they didn't have to be. Gary Palmer should have fired me, who's in the House of Representatives now. He should have fired me like 20 times.
On my recommendation alone.
I thought I knew some stuff as a young man, and he was patient and kind with me over time. And now that I'm in a position where I have employees, I have people that frankly look at me and say, hey, that guy has the power in this relationship dynamic. I remember what was done for me. And then I look at them and say, hey, let me help you. Because if I help you, then when you have people that are reporting to you, man, you'll treat them well too. And man, I love the idea of like, well, courtesy happens because when you show it, other people receive it and they do it. And if we don't, if everything's this craven, weird political war, then we're going to really not enjoy our lives.
Dissolve as a society.
Yeah.
Look, aren't you guys proud of me? We've gotten through over 10 minutes of me having to look at this, and I'm not one crack.
And he's
in this
kept
armor.
all his clothes on.
Not one crack in this armor. Maybe I'll get naked next time on All the Best Words. You never know. Here's a tip. Be courteous to other people.
Amen.
This has been All the Best Words. We'll see you next time.